Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at a band I've not heard of before. It's a band called Odraedir. I hope I pronounced that right. Never heard of them before. They just sort of popped up on my YouTube suggested feed at some point, so I thought, you know what, I'll give that a look. Now, as I've not heard of them before, had to do a little bit of research into them, and I can't really find that much information about them. And what I have found comes from Encyclopedia Metalhead, and as we found out in the past, they're not exactly 100% reliable for their information. But what I have found is Odraedir are a pagan folk metal band from Prague in Czechia. They've been active since 2009. They are an independent, unsigned band, and their themes are Celtic, Nordic, paganism, nature, and battles. Now, to date, they've released 2 full-length albums. They released one just last year called Vengeance, and it's a track off that album that we're going to be looking at. A track called The Last Say. Now, I've found lyrics here, but it's not from a site I've ever actually looked at before, so, you know, stepping into a bit of an unknown with that as well. But we can hope that they're going to be accurate. So it says pagan folk metal. You know, we've covered a fair bit of pagan folk metal on here before. So I think we'll just jump into it and see what we've got. So this is The Last Say by Odraedir. Let's have a look. Well, there you go. The Last Say by Odraedir. Pretty good. I mean, I will say there's nothing that particularly makes this stand out as anything special. You know, it sounds a lot like... Well, it sounds like a lot of bands I've heard before, but it's still brilliantly executed. There are a couple of little points of interest, though, because obviously it opened up with these female vocals, which I wasn't expecting. I don't know why I wasn't expecting them. You know, it's a pagan folk metal band. More often than not, there is female vocals involved, but for some reason I wasn't expecting it. But it opened with those female vocals, then you've got those sort of harsher, growled male vocals, but in the background occasionally you got some slightly... What's the word I'm looking for? It sounded like shouted male vocals occasionally in the background. It's not the word I was looking for, but you know what I mean. Now, the song itself is the last track on the album. I think the album was called Vengeance. Yeah, Vengeance. So this is the last track on the album, and by the looks of things, is part of a larger story. You know, it sounds like it's the last chapter of a concept album, perhaps leading into another album. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, this is only their second full-length album, because they released Legends of the Dark Time in 2017, and then Vengeance came out in 2023. So whether those two are connected, I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know very much about this band at all. But, you know, even before the actual song started, we were getting little snippets of story sort of laying the foundation for what this song was about. And I can't actually remember what they said, which is great. So, yeah, this looks like it's possibly like the last chapter of this album, possibly leading into a bigger story for a next album, or maybe this was just the end of the story as is. But it's sort of talking about the Empress, which appeared to be depicted within this video. You know, it showed that woman, half her face was sort of like zombie-fied and the other half was sort of like beautiful sort of thing. So is that sort of suggesting the two sort of sides of her personality? I don't know. But yeah. So it sounds like she's doing her best to sort of forestall inevitable sort of attack from someone, maybe. Or maybe she has sort of become victorious and is now set to reign. I don't know. Because it opens with, the point of no return has been reached and crossed. A thick line overpassed that is inevitably lost. A cascade of events, many years ago foretold, precedes the opening of the gates of the quiet stronghold. So the point of no return has been reached and crossed, a thick line overpassed that is inevitably lost. So they've gotten to a point where things cannot go back to the way they used to be. So again, this could be the end of a bloody battle and a hostile overtake where this Empress has taken charge. I don't know. A cascade of events many years ago foretold. So again, this is something that people saw coming. This is possibly even a prophecy that's come to fulfillment. And this sort of precedes the opening of the gates of the quiet stronghold. So all these events are culminating into an event of the opening of the gates of a particular stronghold. You know, possibly like the birth of a kingdom sort of thing, might be suggesting. I don't know. Behind the walls of the fortress, the sibling out of three was determined to be the Empress by the one feared of the prophecy. Imprisoned in the own kingdom, being ruled but still in a cage, out of chains a piece of freedom, but still can never soothe the rage. So, behind the fortress walls, the sibling out of three. So, perhaps this was a war between three siblings, you know, a fight for supremacy between three siblings. And this Empress, as we know her to be called, because it says the next line, was determined to be Empress. So, the sibling out of three was determined to be Empress. So it sounds like maybe there was a fight between three siblings, a fight for rulership. That's not the word I'm looking for. Rulership, that's not even a word, is it? a fight for the rule over the kingdom, a fight for supremacy between these three siblings, possibly. And she's come out on top. It says, the sibling out of three was determined to be empress by the one feared of the prophecy. So it sounds like the holder of this prophecy, the protector of this prophecy, normally a holy person of some kind, he's afraid of the prophecy. So he's made the decision, right, this is who is now empress. She's come out on top. So as much as I hate to say it, she's your leader now. That's what it sort of sounds like. It says imprisoned in the own kingdom. I'm not sure if that should be imprisoned in their own kingdom, but being ruled but still in a cage. So it sounds like possibly she's an oppressive leader, like maybe ruling with an iron fist, being ruled but still in a cage. So yeah, are they? Is it a sort of almost like a dictatorship sort of thing going on there? Out of chains, a piece of freedom, but still can never soothe the rage. So, there's this image of freedom, but there's still this resentment underlying, possibly? I don't know. Once marked to be the children of catastrophe, the brood of redoubted kind, on request of the bloodbound, unmercifully were assigned. Not sure. Once marked to be the children of catastrophe, the brood of redoubted kind. So, once marked to be the children of catastrophe, are these perhaps a subject, they were sort of determined to be the losers, as it were. They were to be the survivors of this great war, but maybe because she brought forward an unexpected victory, they're no longer this. I don't know. The kin was split, now awaits to be connected in the ancestral land of ice. Behind the walls of the fortress, unmerciful creatures mobilize. Unmerciful creatures mobilize. So the kin was split, now awaits to be connected. So again, this sounds like the siblings fighting. She's come out victorious. Are they now going to sort of come back together or something? Are the two that weren't successful going to unite together to try and overthrow this empress? It's really difficult to say, because it says here, unmerciful creatures mobilize. Is this the other two siblings, forming larger armies, coming together, forging a larger army to try and overthrow this empress? And, unmerciful creatures mobilize. Could this be their armies of unspeakable creatures? Who knows? At the roots of the universe, at the realm of the stream of life, in the cradle of existence, to oppose the face of an ancient strife. Oh, to oppose and face an ancient strife, sorry. So, again, at the roots of in a realm of the stream of life, in the cradle of existence. So, this sounds like they're trying to fight against some unholy demon of some sort, maybe, the face of an ancient strife. So, they're fighting against something that's been oppressing them for decades, centuries even. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I've been struggling a lot with my sleep recently, which is why I haven't uploaded much. Then it goes back into, the point of no return has been reached and crossed, a thick line overpassed that is inevitably lost. A cascade of events many years ago foretold proceeds opening the gates of the quiet stronghold. Behind the walls of the fortress, of the siblings out of three, awakens the hate of the empress in accordance with the prophecy. So that's a slight change from the opening lines, because at the beginning it was behind the walls of the fortress, the sibling out of three was determined to be empress by the one feared of the prophecy. But now it's saying awakens the hate of the empress in accordance with the prophecy. So, earlier it was saying, the one who feared the prophecy, this person who determined that she is empress, was afraid of this prophecy. And now this, the hate of the empress has been awoken. She's becoming this sort of fear, creature to be feared. And this is accordance with the prophecy, which is why the guy who announced her empress was afraid of the prophecy because he knew that this was coming, you know, the inevitable end, you know, this horrible, oppressive, possibly regime of the Emperor. Show no remorse on the field lit by the fire, blazing among stars, unleash the power of vengeful desire. And then it, you know, at the end of the song, after a very long instrumental section, it then repeats the last part that I read. You know, the point of no return has been reached and crossed. A thick line over the past has inevitably lost. A cascade of events many years ago foretold precedes the opening of the gates. Yada 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 yada. You know, it repeats that like 2 more times before the song ends. So yeah, it sounds like it's the, well, I mean, it's the last track on the album, like I said, so it sounds like it's the final chapter of a larger story that perhaps took place over the entirety of the album. How many tracks is the album? I think it's a 12-track album, I think. No, it's an 11-track album. You know, so it could well be that there's this big story going over those 11 tracks, and this is like the epilogue, as it were. You know, it's saying like this woman has become empress, and, you know, as was foretold, she's battled her siblings by the sounds of things. She's taken control, she is in power, and now this terrible prophecy that, you know, everybody was so afraid of is now coming to pass, you know, and this is going to lead to a several hundred years of oppressive rule. That's what it sounds like. I would have to look at the rest of the album to actually know precisely what the story is, so it's really hard for me to determine, but it's a good piece of music. I really like it. Like I said, this band's from Prague. I don't know if I've ever covered a band from Prague before, but, you know, it sounded really, really good. Like I said, there wasn't anything that really made the band stand out above any other band in the sort of genre. You know, it's a pretty typical example of this kind of music. You know, there wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it still sounded good. You know, the music was very well executed, the vocals were very, very well executed. It sounded like a really good piece of music. There was just nothing particularly special about it. So yeah, pretty decent. I'll have to maybe look back at some of their older stuff, because, you know, with bands like this, like I said, they've been around since 2009. And they released a demo in 2011, and they normally sound very, very different from what you hear now. You know, 2011 to 2023, a band can make quite a vast change in their sound. So it'll be interesting maybe to look back at some of their older stuff at some point. But for the time being, yes, it was pretty decent. I quite liked it. Like I said, nothing particularly groundbreaking or special about them, but it sounded pretty good. I quite liked it. But I don't know what else I can say about that, so we'll leave that as it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or a subscribe, because it really, really would help the channel out. As it stands at the moment, not even 2% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed, and, you know, it's a little bit disheartening. You know, I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and, you know, I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos, and people just aren't watching them, and, you know, because they're not getting likes and subscribes, they're not getting suggested to people, so my audience just isn't growing. So, you know, if you could like and subscribe, it'd be really, really helpful. It would make the biggest difference to me. It doesn't cost anything, it takes a fraction of a second, and it does make the biggest difference. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.